So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Mal. We invited Mal because he does what we do here. He does for-profit companies that try and change the world. So you're here at Fledge4. It's our demo day. It's week 10 of our 10-week program. And there's a ton of new faces in the room, which is awesome. Which means I should answer the question that I get most often, which is, what do we do at Fledge for 10 weeks? What's this program about? Well, to answer that question, I made a diagram. I do teach upstairs at Pinchot. In this diagram, across the bottom, we have progress. So it's not time, but progress towards success. And in the vertical axis, we have the measure of success. And so in a normal business, in a traditional business, it's easy to measure success. It's profits, it's dollars. But again, we work with mission-driven for-profit companies, and so often we have other measures as well. So this could be energy saved or emissions that are no longer emitted. It could be communities that we build. It could be just lives touched, or it could be lives saved. But in any case, up and to the right is where we want to be. So you've all heard stories of startups, right? You may have seen them in the movies, you may have read them in the papers, and they always go like this. There's a founder, he works on the problem for a while, and then one day, poof, it takes off, it's an overnight success, right? And the reason we read about that is because that makes a good story, but that's not how it actually works. How it actually works is we have to zoom into the corner here, to the beginning. Usually what happens is that two people have an idea between them and they bat it around for weeks or months or years, but it doesn't show up on the graph yet because they haven't actually done anything yet. An idea is not much progress. But one day they talk to a potential customer, and then they talk to another and another, and they usually get positive feedback. First thing they hear is, that sounds great. Sometimes they just hear the positive parts of the feedback too. But one day they run into someone like me, and there's a lot of people out there like me, experienced entrepreneur, business coach, whatever, and that person points out a flaw. Right, points out something they overlooked, and so that's where the graph goes down and to the left. But they're entrepreneurs, so that's not the end of the story. What they do next is they take that flaw, they find a workaround, and they move forward again. And then they find more flaws. Their eyes are now open to flaws, and they work around that, and it keeps going on and on and on like this for weeks or months or years. And then they finally get to a point, right, on this zoomed in graph looks like success, but it's just the beginning, because at this point they have something that people want to buy, or they think people want to buy. And at this point it gets really exciting because they land their first customer. So we zoom back out, watch that first customer come, and that's great news until they realize that they have to deliver something to that customer. And then they get another customer and another, and then they realize that it's really hard to scale their business, or it's really hard to operate their business because I've yet to meet a business that's just easy, right? That's as easy as, build it and they'll come. And this goes on in loops again until they hit yet another point. And this is a really magic spot. This spot is now called product market fit. And what this really means, it's a fancy way of saying there's demand for what they're selling. It's at this point that if they hired the salesperson that they've been coveting, they'll close sales. It's at this point if they advertise, if they spend marketing dollars, they'll get more customers that they can close. And it's at this point that investors start to become interested in companies, because it's at this point it's proven out, and if they put $1 into the company, they'll get $1 or more out of the company. Right? And so it's at this point it grows and it looks like an overnight success. In real life it's bumpier than this, but simplified graph. So just point out that this graph is the success story, and that 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10 startups don't have this graph. They fail sometime early in the process. They fail for lots of reasons, but the 3 primary ones are that somewhere in one of those loops they find a flaw they can't work around, or 2, the line is so long they simply run out of money before they get there, or 3, those 2 co-founders who loved each other so much start fighting with each other and the team falls apart. But the key is that most of them fail. And so we're here at Fledge for the key reason, the key hypothesis of our business is that if we help companies when they're young, then 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10 will succeed. And we do that by bringing them in early, and we take them from here to here in less loops, in less time, with less money. or sometimes we take them from here to here with less loops in less time for less money. And every once in a while, we find a team, and I jokingly call this a team of 2 people and a bad PowerPoint, right? And we take them from the beginning to that magic spot in 10 weeks. It's a 10-week program, right? Which means a whole lot less loops, way less time, and the only money they spend we provide to them, because to be clear, our business model sounds a little odd, but we pay companies to come here. It's an investment. We invest in every one of the companies that comes up on stage. So in order to do this, we have 3 methods. We have 3 parts of our program. First, we teach them the best practices of entrepreneurship. So these are 6 books that I wrote based on 20 years of experience, based on researching thousands of startups. We know what doesn't work. We teach them what doesn't work. I can't say we know exactly what does work, but as best we do, we teach that as well. We also invite in a large number of mentors. So these people come, they volunteer their time to talk to our teams, and in this cohort, in this session, we had over 50 people come to talk to our teams. Right? Overall, in the 2 years, it's been almost 200. It's an amazing outpouring of knowledge and experience. And thirdly, which might be the most important, is we do Fledge in groups on purpose. So these companies that were here for the last 10 weeks are now a network of support for each other, and they're part of a bigger network. They're part of the network of all fledglings that have ever been and ever will be, and all those mentors. So that in the future, when they hit a snag, when they hit a problem, they don't have to solve it on their own. They can call upon the network and solve it with less loops, in less time, for less money, and press on through. So we get a lot of people who want to come and be part of this program. We get hundreds of applications from dozens of countries. And in this session, we accepted just 6, about 5% of our applications. We accepted them from 3 countries. So tonight you're going to hear from 6 fledglings. 3 of them are doing business in Tanzania, and 3 here in the US. Plus we're going to hear from one of our oldest fledglings who's going to give us an update about his business in Kenya. Right? And like all fledglings, these are companies that have a mission and are aiming for profits all at the same time. These are companies that are proving that it is possible to do good and do good business all at the same time. So with that, I give you the fledglings.